So when other actors are coming in being emotional, and then he comes in sticking his foot in his mouth with every bad piece of dialogue, it made his performance worse.
And I teased this in the spoiler-free review, but there are a lot of parallels in this movie to the OJ Simpson case that made me very uncomfortable, okay? The wife who gets killed, first of all, is named Nicole.
The biggest problem with this movie is the script. And the ending, when we blame it all on a biracial indigenous woman who's a cop, that is when I got pissed.
Do you remember the movie The Life of David Gale? Here's where people shit on me because clearly this film is not trying to mimic The Life of David Gale, okay? But the script was trying to show us that, like a jury system, an AI system could be fallible. Have mercy. Hello, friends and listeners. You have another episode of Watch Skip Plus. We want to be the go-to movie source for insightful and pop-cultured movie reviews. My name is Cupcake, also known as Jose. I'm joined by my co-host Mike, also known as the WillDaBeast. If you are joining us and you haven't noticed from the tag, you are in the spoilered review for Mercy, starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, directed by Timur Bekmambetov. This is basically the screen life thriller, action, mystery, AI as judge, jury, and executioner film. So you might want to turn around if you haven't seen it, but if you have seen it, come join us for our spoiler discussion because Mike fucking hated this movie.
Did not like it at all.
Absolutely hated it. Meanwhile, Team Webb, as in Team Madam Web over here, I take a lot of shit for loving Madam Web and calling it Hitchcockian. Okay, look. If you have seen Spellbound and you have seen the Salvador Dali thing, that's what happens when she goes into the water. Okay, folks? Anyway, but Team Webb super enjoyed Mercy. Let's start by shitting on Chris Pratt. Sorry. Granted, he's strapped to a chair the entire time. He only comes out at the end when... This is the moment that I love the most. He's barefoot, he wrestles Chris Sullivan, and then there's a close-up shot of him using his feet to move the gun away from his hand. And I was like, ah. Anyway. But let's just talk about the miscasting in this, because he is forced to basically emote when all of these things are happening. And to be sure, we're seeing videos of him acting, emoting, running around, doing stuff, getting drunk in a bar. But why did this performance of his not work for you? Why do you don't think Chris has sort of ascended to an acting style or an acting prowess to support a film like this?
Well, part of it is the character. It's not a very likable character, and Pratt usually plays likable characters, but he's not really a villain-esque character. So when this character gets a little bit in the weeds and we start to realize this isn't such a good guy, like at first we think, okay, this is just a guy, he's innocent. Oh my gosh, somebody framed him. What's happening? And then we realize he's an alcoholic. He's a shitty dad. He's a shitty husband. He's not really that good of a cop. He's all fucked up because his partner got killed years ago and he helped push this Mercy court because of his partner getting killed. I just didn't buy any of that because he's not a dramatic actor. If you look at every film that he's ever been successful at or television program, it's because he can be physical, he can be funny, he can be somebody who's likable. In this film, he's not likable. He's not funny. Yeah. He's stuck to a chair, supposed to be emotional, and we're supposed to think or care about him, right? There's no love interest like the Jennifer Lawrence movie we talked about in the other review. There's nothing here to really connect me to him. So I just watched a movie about a guy I fucking hated. Yeah. I hated his character, and I didn't like Chris Pratt as this character. It didn't work. You could have had anyone else play this character.
Do you think that, I mean, granted, him being able to interact with the other actors, unless we're watching, say, a Ring camera where they're interacting together, all the performances are filmed separately. And, Chris Pratt has this sort of emote to it. Did you feel like the other actors' performances helped to at least elevate Pratt's reactions, or do you think he still failed?
I think he failed in every way. He didn't seem like a dad. There's 2 scenes where he's talking to the daughter. The first one, you know, she's like, Dad, what's going on? And she's all emotional. And he's like, babe, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
I didn't do it.
And his eyes kind of like does this little tiny twitch thing that he's trying to do. And it's like obvious.
Yeah.
It just, I didn't buy any of it. And so when other actors are coming in being emotional, and then he comes in like sticking his foot in his mouth with every bad piece of dialogue, it just doesn't work. It made his performance worse, especially when it's a 2-hander with a great actress like Ferguson. In the other review, I talked about it. She is too good for this role.
Yeah.
And I would have rather seen him switched if you were going to do that. But I honestly think that we should have kept the AI not played by a human. It would have been better if it was just a floating voice. I think that would have been better. Honestly, having it played by a human ruins the whole vibe to me. Didn't feel like
but
AI.
I don't think you could have a audio wave for the entire film. You know what I mean?
Or an avatar, like an avatar.
I mean, it would have been like
better
2001.
Than watching a human being.
Dave, with like a red light. No, I think a
human being who is too good, or else create an AI. Actually, create a CGI character that looks like
or
an
a
AI
CGI
character.
Rebecca Ferguson, maybe.
Something.
But
I mean,
so the thing about the thing about Pratt's performance here for me though is that, yeah, unfortunately, the script isn't exactly like fucking Citizen Kane, but I think where he loses the audience is the emotionality. I think you're right about that. I didn't feel like he was a dad. I didn't feel like he was connected at all to his daughter. And I think the script tries to bake in some plausible deniability by saying he's a workaholic and that he's, kind of a douchebag. So the douchebag stuff works. But you're right. It's a little bit like watching Julia Roberts try to play Freddy Krueger, I guess. Yeah, it's very, yeah.
But he's not the biggest problem. I mean, the biggest problem of this movie is the script. And the ending, when we find out who the real villain is, what?
All right,
and I'm not talking about Chris Sullivan. When we blame it all on a biracial indigenous woman who's a cop, that is when I got pissed.
So you bring up something, and I tease this in the spoiler-free review, but there are a lot of parallels in this movie to the OJ Simpson case that made me very uncomfortable, okay? The wife who gets killed, first of all, is named Nicole, right?
Oh my gosh,
and then
right.
just like in the OJ Simpson thing, it was a crime of passion. She's stabbed so hard that it punctured the spine, the bone or whatever. Okay. And then they switch it. The lover is black because there's this man. Well, the alleged lover is black. There's this man that she's sort of like confiding to. And then later in the film, when they're chasing the truck, it's like the fucking Broncos chase on the LA highway. Choi is Asian and he gets killed. But I mean, I'm looking at him and he looks like Judge Ito. I mean, those parallels made me a little insane, but you are right. There is a strong black indigenous actress, Callie Race, and then it turns out that she is the one who basically helped to start the Mercy program by hiding evidence and basically executing an innocent person. Yeah. Right.
This movie doesn't like black people or people of color. It doesn't. They're all villains. They're all treated like cheaters. Yeah. That's just one of many problems.
But I think that the script tries to balance that by having this revenge plot. So it turns out Chris Sullivan, who is not only his wife's supervisor at the shipping company, but is also his AA sponsor. I would have changed that. I would not have written that in that way because that's way too close. It announces him as the villain very, very quickly. Although I still was like, I thought it was going to be the worker Rafi Gavron, the guy who was like all spazzy and was like, whatever. I thought it was going to be him because he's the only notable actor to me in her friend circle. So I was like, oh, it's that guy. But it turns out that
another thing, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah.
the thing that bothered me is he wouldn't be a sponsor because he actually is his wife's boss. You cannot, a sponsor usually is not tied to either a family member or is a family member. So him being his wife's boss would make him not really work as a sponsor. They would probably ask him to find someone else. Again, the script is awful. The poor guy who wrote one movie before this, I don't know if you're ever going to get another job, buddy. This was awful. I never saw your
poor Marco,
your
Arthur and
Merlin movie. But if it's like this, I'm sure it's god awful. This was a hideous script. I keep saying this is like Minority Report made by Ed Wood, despicably badly written. I think it wants to be something it just never hits. Right? It thinks that it's being clever, but it never is.
I think. Clever. So ultimately, when I walked out of this, because I think what's happening is that the screenwriter is trying to do too much. You doing too much, Marco, okay? Because it wants to make a commentary about AI. And I think we can debate what that message is. We'll get to that later. But ostensibly, it's a revenge plot. We discover that Chris Sullivan is the brother of the homeless man who is accused of murdering a woman, right? And it is the first case that starts this whole mercy thing. So what we learn very quickly, so with these Screen Life films, you have to really pay attention to the dialogue because something that you think is innocuous, it's definitely going to come back. So Chris Pratt and Callie Race, their character, they arrest the homeless man who is accused of murdering some white lady. So again, I think what you saw as kind of like people of color bashing, I think they balance it because the innocent person is a homeless person here. And then the person who is murdered is a Caucasian woman, that kind of thing. So the first mercy defendant is this homeless person, and he ends up getting executed. What we discover is that Chris Sullivan is his brother, and that it's a whole revenge plot, that he has ingratiated himself into Chris Pratt's life so that he can basically blow up Mercy and blame Chris Pratt for it. But as if the AI thing and then this revenge plot wasn't enough, basically what they were trying to do also is put in this message about how the criminal justice system can fail us. How many times have we heard about a jury that's convicted somebody who is in fact innocent? DNA evidence, evidence that's not logged into, whatever. Crooked cops that want to just find somebody and, get it done. And so that's the reveal, is that Chris Pratt's partner understood that there was a cell phone and that it could have exonerated him, but she didn't log it as evidence because she wanted the mercy thing to work, right?
Yep.
Now, is that tied to the fact that she's a person of color? I don't know. I think you can read it that way because they
could have cast her someone different. Again, the casting.
But you could have cast somebody else, yes. Yep. But do you remember the movie The Life of David Gale? Now, here's
familiar.
Here's where people shit on me because clearly this film is not trying to mimic The Life of David Gale, okay? But the other commentary that the script was trying to do was to show us that, like a jury system, an AI system could be fallible. And so The Life of David Gale stars Kevin Spacey. He is arrested and he's due to be executed because of the murder of a woman that he was involved with who was an activist. Now, I'm going to spoil The Life of David Gale, but basically what happened is Kevin Spacey was ready to be executed to prove that the jury system could convict innocent people because the woman he's accused of killing actually committed suicide, and he knew that. And so at the end of this film, when we realize that Chris Sullivan's character was the alibi for his brother to show that he could not have murdered this woman, and then the police bury it, well, that's the whole message, that AI can be fallible as well. But I think that message got buried under everything crazy in this film. So I think that's the stronger message that they really should have developed over time, but the script is so crazy and so screen lifey. I don't know. I just felt it wildly compelling because of the whole screen screen life stuff. I dug it.
And it's not boring. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is it is quote unquote entertaining. It is fast paced for having him tied down for 90 minutes. It doesn't give you any time to like breathe. And you don't want to go and leave and go to the bathroom in this because it just keeps giving you so much information. If you're gone for 2 minutes, you might miss something big, right?
It's a lot of red herrings too.
It's pumping information at you left and right. So you're not going to be falling asleep in this. So that's the one thing I will say is if you get drugged to this thing, you might at least enjoy not being bored. But if you are like me and you pick every little nit of this movie, it is full of holes. Like the biggest message I got was AI doesn't work because the only way that we can solve murders is by using our gut. That was what message I got is he used his gut, and that's why he solved the mystery that she couldn't. She should have been able to because she had the ability to look into any data anywhere in the world, but she could not figure out this mystery because she didn't have a gut. A gut feeling.
Well, hold on.
That.
So I think
gut feelings get people killed.
I get that. I get that was your perception of the message.
I mean, he says it. He's like, I followed my gut. And in the end, she's like, I can't follow my gut. Or some stupid dialogue she said.
But there is a very pivotal moment where it would seem that she is assisting Chris Pratt in trying to find the evidence, like she's overstepping her bounds. But I took that to basically be, she's an AI, so she's responding to his requests. Yeah. So it's not that she's becoming more human. But when we talk about this gut, the human instinct connecting things, right? I think the message of the film is that's where we train AI. And so this really is about what we feed the AI, how we make them come to the conclusions, and then how we as humans use it. Because I agree it can be seen that Ferguson at the end is like, haha, I'm human. I helped you out. I learned how to have a gut instinct. I don't know that that's entirely true. At least I didn't see it that way. But I think, like the criminal justice system, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, but AI can be fallible and we need to use it in the right way. And I really kind of enjoyed that. And I think that Ferguson's performance walks that very, very fine line. I do agree that she's such a good actress that that her performance almost breaks away from being robotic and becoming too human. But AI is tricking us all the time. When I go onto X and I look at something and I'm like, wait a minute, this looks great, but the cat's leg just came out of the couch, like at the last second. So it's hard to tell when the AI is fake, right? And so I think that's another thing that's kind of sort of powerful about this film too, is that, forgive me for saying powerful, but is that, you don't know if the AI, it looks so real and it seems so human, like you get fooled, right?
Yeah. It's true.
But I don't know. I don't know. There, like you said, with the Minority Report, there's a point where there's this great sequence where the hover bike is in front of it and she's shooting at it or whatever. I loved it. I was like, go grab the girl, because at some point he kidnaps his daughter, and what he wants to do is, we think that the material that he's stealing from his own company, this chemical, is going to be used for meth, but it's really going to be used as a bomb to blow up Mercy, right?
Yeah. But why, if they can build floating bikes, why can't they realize that they can put out chains with spikes to stop the freaking out of control train?
Oh, I mean, listen,
there was one of a million problems.
You're right. There's a ton of,
and this truck is just plowing through everything, right? It's just destroying everything in its way. And we've seen movies like this. Like, what was it? Heat, where they ended up throwing one of those spikes and a truck hits it. And why didn't they just do that? Yeah. If you can do that 40 years ago, why can't you do that in 2029? That truck could have been stopped easily, but they.
Well, what's also super ridiculous is that, Judge Maddox, the AI, she knows that this truck is careening towards them, and she waits 4 minutes before it's there to evacuate the building. Like that. Yeah. So
Why didn't she
I
turn
get
the
where you're
light? She could have
coming
played with the
from.
light. She could have done so much being an all-powerful AI to stop him.
Yeah.
But
she could have immediately been like, shut down the building, evacuate everybody, call out the, whatever, like put down bridges and barriers and stuff. But so I don't know. But
you make a good point,
again,
right? You make a good point that I didn't see it this way until you mentioned it, that it's trying to look at AI. We should look at AI as a tool for use, not expect it to do everything for us. We should be able to use it as a tool. And I think in the end, when they started working together, now that I'm thinking about it, yes, he starts using it as a tool and they work together to solve this crime, right? And I think that's what you're trying to say. And that does make some kind of sense, but I think it's going to piss off a lot of artists and a lot of people who just don't like AI, who don't think we should be using it. We shouldn't be collaborating with it. But I think like anything, it's a tool, right? It's just like there are people who think that we shouldn't have guns. We should have gun control. And it's a tool like anything else, right? We should have the ability to use tools that we need to, but they need to be controlled and they need to be regulated. And I think maybe that's what this movie's kind of trying to say in a really convoluted way.
Albeit a crazy fucking story, right? But the other thing too is that, it also exposes the fact that, she's supposed to be all powerful, but if you're not connected to the grid and you're not, turning on location on your cell phone, or you have two different, accounts that aren't lined up with something, you can escape all that technology. So it's kind of interesting that they went that route as well. So you and I had also talked about how the script plants, its little seeds or whatever. But so at some point, he's talking with his wife and she's talking about a petition to reopen an investigation. And I think that was about the missing chemicals that they had seen or whatever. And so that comes back. There's a red herring about like the boyfriend, maybe the boyfriend of the girl has some axe to grind or something. And then there's also the stuff about the Ravi Gafran, who's the actor who plays the worker, who has a gambling addiction, and we think, oh, it's got to be him. He's selling the meth and stuff like that. So there's some pretty good red herrings, but yeah, it becomes kind of obvious, And
this is anti-lawyer, so this film is very anti-attorney. So that's why I was thinking you were going to come in and be like, I despise this thing because it's so not good for what we need in America. It's so anti-lawyer.
It's weird. It is kind of anti-lawyer, but not to get too much into it, but in my experience, a lot of criminal defendants go by what they see on television, and that is not how things work in the courtroom. You know what I mean? And so in a way, this kind of puts the power back in the hands of the people, but in terms of being able to defend themselves and looking everywhere. But you're right, it's so arbitrary. Why 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Why all these rules? Remember, there's these weird rules like they cannot be a witness or they cannot have been somebody who whatever, and then no minors involved unless you get their permission. It's a little odd, but I don't know.
I mean, if the guy's brother, if the homeless guy, if he would have had an attorney, he would have gotten loose. It would have been an easy,
right.
They would have called the brother. They would have had that done. He was innocent. It would have been over in a day. It would have been an open and shut case. But because this movie is very anti-lawyer, they didn't even want to talk to a lawyer. Why not having a lawyer in? Again, I could sit here. And
for the Mercy thing, it was AI that they wanted to set up, and I guess Callie Race was very much like, we need this or whatever, and unfortunately, there's not much of a payoff because she's like, look what it's done for us, right? But we see all these statistics in the beginning, and it pops off so quickly. Maybe this would have made a better miniseries, I guess, right?
Maybe.
But
what does he think about the choreography in the end? That wasn't good. Or did you like it? Did you like the fight choreography in the end?
No, it was such a fucking mess. I had no idea what was happening.
No,
I mean, I'm seeing his bare feet here and there, and there's a gun and people jumping in, and oh my God. And then, Jesus, there was one there was one moment that made me and who I think was the retired judge next to me laugh our ass off. And that's as this truck is careening and like crashing all these cars, you see the inside of this cafe and these two people eating at the cafe get blasted by this car that just comes right. They just get mowed over. And I was like, ah! It's kind of like weirdly funny. I don't know. But you're right. It breaks its own rules, because then when Chris Sullivan comes in, the judge appears on all of the screens and is like, I can reopen your trial or whatever, which begs the question, where was he when his brother was being tried? Like, why didn't the brother try to call him and be like, didn't I tell you? I don't think that the movie laid out that maybe he did try to testify, but they couldn't find the cell phone, and that's why he was executed. I don't know. They didn't line that up very well, but...
Well, I mean, we're led to believe that his brother has some mental health issues, and he's a homeless person, so he probably couldn't defend himself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
and
what
that he had
down
drug
to.
issues, too, I think.
Yep.
Because, anywho.
And urea, urea, that's what he stole to make a bomb. God.
Urea nitrate. I mean, it's like...
It's just so
Or
silly.
no, I'm sorry. Urea nitrate is the bomb, but urea, which is based on it's the chemical that's inside urine.
Urine, yes.
And we do use urea in a bunch of lotions and stuff like that. And you can use it to make drugs. That is all true, by the way.
That was so weird.
I have a urea lotion that I think is fantastic for my eczema when it acts up. So when they were like, oh, it's urea, I was like, oh, skincare? Why would you steal stuff for skincare? Anyway.
Geez. And then they make us like Chris's family, or Chris, because, his bad temper is just because it runs in his family. Oh, well, I mean,
oh yeah, he was like,
the guy, right?
Or whatever. Right.
He beats up a bunch of fucking cops. He's an alcoholic. He's like yells at his wife consistently, but we're supposed to be like, look past all that. Again, there's just nobody to root for in this movie. There's nobody to like. There's nothing for me to like attach myself to.
Hang your hat on.
You can't really hang your hat on anybody here. Like at first you're like, oh, here's Chris Pratt. Oh my gosh, he's innocent. We're going to watch him. And then it paints him to not be innocent. And you're like, oh, he's really not innocent. He's a messy character. Okay, messy characters can still be entertaining to watch, but they don't ever really show us why. Except, again, his life has gone to shit for the past year because Rob has manipulated him in a long game revenge plot.
Well, I also think it's kind of knowing that the writer realizes there's the court when there's a high-profile case, and then there's court of public opinion. And so I think they're playing with that with the audience. Like, people we see in the news who are accused of stuff who say, I didn't do it, there's all this evidence out there, they come off like douchebags. We don't like them immediately. So I think that's kind of what the screenplay is. I think I'm giving more credit to the screenplay than it's maybe due, but maybe I'm too into Timur Bekmambetov. Maybe I just am too much of a stan for him. I really, really kind of enjoyed this. It was wildly compelling. That's the phrase I'm going to use.
Well, the more we talk about this, the less I'm hating on it. The less I'm like, this is the biggest piece of shit. It's still probably going to be my least favorite movie of the year. I don't know.
Well, it's no Sundance. It's no Sundance shit.
Our option was this or Silent Hill, right? Or a Netflix streamer. Yeah. Silent Hill's getting trashed even worse, and I thought the people who said that's absolutely awful.
Well, thank God we didn't go see that. But you dogged me. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll adjourn. Unless you have further comments. But you ragged on me for saying that Primate was tailor-made for Shudder and streaming. This film is also tailor-made for Shudder and streaming. But as like a theatrical experience, I liked it. Yeah, exactly. But, I saw Missing and Searching in the theaters, and I loved it. So I just think this narrative screen life thing is very, very powerful because it's really what we're steeped in 24/7. So I think that's another reason why I really took to this film, but yeah. Anywho. All right. Any final thoughts about the worst film of 2026?
Yeah, it's awful. I don't know if Are we going to want to see anything else from Timur? I mean, what does he have coming up? Is he going to do any other big American movies? Is this going to ruin his career in America? What do you think?
You know what? I think he's ended up in movie jail before. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, I'm looking at you. But he's come back, so. And
then he's making a ton of money in Russia, and he's making huge movies over there still. So it's like, maybe he doesn't need us, right?
I need to track down some of his Russian movies. I love this guy. Okay. So folks, please subscribe. We hit a new format basically. So we do a spoiler-free episode on Friday afternoons. We do a spoilered episode on Sunday. We put them into playlists, making it so easy for you guys. You don't have to listen to a 90-minute episode.
30 minutes.
Jump in and out. 30 minutes. You can jump in and out. This is our model. This is how we want to grow on YouTube. So please subscribe, like, comment, spread the word about us. Yes, the implication is monetizing, but we just really want to grow the community, right? I mean, and we want to keep exhibition and physical media alive. It might be going away, folks, and we don't want that. So, if you love us, again, like, subscribe, leave comments. But if you also love us, you'd love these other podcasts. Our Podfathers, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. They've been going strong, 700, 800 episodes. It's insane. Love those guys. Big Willie and Samurai, Not a Bomb, Troy and Brad. They did a 25 of 25, which is basically the best 25 films of the last 25 years episode. It's fantastic. You want some good ideas? Check that out. They recently did Star Trek V, which I still massively shit on because I hated Star Trek V, but they loved that shit. And we are also bringing back Breaking Brad. I don't know if you know this. We started with a Neil Breen film. Do you know this guy, Neil Breen? Oh, yeah,
I've never seen his movies, but the guys on Raiders, Craig loves to torture T with these movies, and T hates so bad they're good movies. He does not like those, and so Craig loves to punish him with those kind of movies.
Yo, Neil Breen is a genre unto himself. Yeah,
I don't know if I could do it. I don't know.
The first Breaking Brad episode, when it comes out, folks, it's a Neil Breen film. I don't know if I should be saying that. Maybe not. I'm going to break my non-disclosure with Not a Bomb, but you have to tune into that episode because the film we watched, holy fucking shit.
That would break me. It would break me having to watch those, honestly. It would. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. Totally. Also, you would love Night of the Living Podcast, Wild Dream Podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast, you would just mention, Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zoe, our YouTube brothers, the Two Johns, and now for something a little bit different on YouTube, Caliber 9 from Outer Space, Feminine Critique, Talk Without Rhythm with Goro. Mike, parting thoughts?
Once again, like I said, the last episode, get out there and support independent film, whether it's, if you can, get out there, see it in the theater. I know we've got a new one from, Power of Editing. What's it called? Something Ann Lee.
The Testament of Ann Lee.
So get out there and go see something like The Testament of Ann Lee or other independent films that are out there. You don't need to go and just see Mercy or just go see Primate. It's a musical about the Shaker movement and Ann Lee, who created it.
Oh, yeah, with my
Amanda
girl.
Seyfried,
who loves to sing. Mamma Mia. Okay. And as always, folks, be kind, be open, be vulnerable. That's where the art is. We will see you next week. What are we reviewing next week?
Next week, we have a Sam Raimi joint.
Yes. I cannot wait. Send help. Send help. Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. So, all right.
One of my crushes and one of your crushes.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel McAdams is mine. I know.
And
yours is.
Dylan O'Brien. Yeah. Hello. All right. Twinless, baby, twinless. All right. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.